It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Grizz, win. Did you see it? I didn't. So here's what I want to do this right off the bat. J-Mo, you live in Collierville.
I do.
You didn't watch the game. You went back and watched it in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
How did you tape it then?
I have a subscription to Synergy Sports Tech, which has all the NBA film on it, so I watch pretty much all my basketball in the morning time. Watch
What do you do?
4.5 games this morning.
Get up at 5 in the morning?
Actually, yes, that's when I start watching. It's about 5:30 in the morning.
Wow, that's impressive. Okay. Here's what I want to do. I never take calls, but I'm gonna do this just because I want the answer. If anybody knows, 901-360-8255, 901-360-8255, that is our listener line. So I live in East Memphis. I'm a Comcast subscriber. The Grizz are on Valley Sports South on my channel 831. There's another Valley channel, which is 830. You watch the Predators on that. You watch ACC basketball on that. So I don't know if that's more Nashville or Atlanta. I used to get Braves games on that.
Still do.
And sometimes you can get Georgia Tech basketball because that's Atlanta. A lot of Atlanta stuff.
Cardinals and Reds, too, but the Cardinals comes in from a Midwest.
Yes. But you can get that on either 831 or 830.
Right.
Okay? So 830 worked perfectly last night. I forget what was on there. It was college basketball. 832 is CBS Sports. So I watched a little last night of St. Louis, a team. It's good for us, I guess, that they won. In a good game with Loyola for a while. I don't understand Loyola Ramblers. First of all, they made a big mistake, in my estimation, of going to the A10 from the Valley, but they've done it. They haven't won a Valley game yet. I watched them take apart Clemson, which for a while was first in the ACC, right? May still be. And they killed them. Killed them in Atlanta when Memphis played Auburn. But so I'm going back and forth. I could not get Valley Sports South last night. I could not get the Grizzlies game. So weird. I got it, and then when the pregame show for the Grizzlies began, all of a sudden, you know how you get that when if you're on Comcast, I don't know what it's like with DirecTV or anybody else, AT&T, but when you switch channels on Comcast, it goes black for a second sometimes. And then there's these three little dots
I could do
that
an hour
are white.
I could do an hour.
And they go they kind of flash for a second and then the picture shows up.
Ridiculous.
So last night when I go to 831, it just kept going with the dots. And it would do that for like 30 seconds and then a screen would flash up and say, check your connections. We cannot connect to this station. What? The whole game. So I watched every once in a while. I went to NBA TV to see if I could get connections. I was watching college basketball, but every once in a while I would go back to check, and it would do the same thing. Post game show, do the same thing. I watched two little cut-ins on 478. That's NBA TV because they go from game to game to game, like Red Zone does for NFL football, and when the news was over at 10:30 on a lark, I thought, I want to see what's going on now. Because I'm thinking in my head, maybe there's some sort of an issue with rights fees between Comcast and Valley Sports South, or Valley Sports period. But it wouldn't be Valley Sports period because 8:30, the other Valley Sports, was working. Lo and behold, right after the news, the replay of the Grizzlies game was on. I don't know what happened. And I literally called Pete Pranica this morning. I said, Pete, Did you get any text during the game? Did you have any issues whatsoever with people not getting the Valley Sports South distribution tonight? He goes, no, because we always check it. I'll check it with the producer, see what happened. There was no outages, no nothing. And like I read Twitter, there's no reports of that happening. But my house in East Memphis could not get 831 until the replay last night. So if anybody out there at 901-360-8255 knows, I would love to hear if they got the game last night. Maybe my house was boycotted. The Grizzlies are mad at me. I don't know.
It's all this internet crap, too. Like you're saying, you change channels and you get 3 dots. It's because the TV is buffering. Like, you pay for cable, you got to hook up the cable like you classically do.
Yeah.
But for some reason, all these stupid Xfinity boxes, it's so they can control. They don't have to come out to your house anymore to fix stuff. They can control it from their central location. That's why they do it.
Well, I don't mind that part.
Oh, I hate it. Yeah, I understand, that what they used to say, we'll be at your house from 8 in the morning to 8 at night, which is a huge window. You got to be waiting by the door all day for them to get there.
Well,
but I like the cable. If I have a cable plugged in, I want to be able to watch the channel immediately. I don't want it to load all this other nonsense.
Here's what's interesting to me. I have noticed, now I also have my internet with Comcast, so I'm like married to them, right?
That's right.
And I got my phone package from them. I don't leave I still have my landline because I think it's cheaper to bundle. It's the dumbest thing. And I never answer my phone because all it is marketing.
That's right. Especially the Xfinity phone.
Like every once in a while I'll go back and I'll listen to see if anybody left me a message. And so like there are people that are mad at me. They called my phone, left me a message, and 2 months later I might call them back. I go, well, I just got your message. Call my cell phone because I don't answer this thing. Anyway. Make a long story short, sometimes I've noticed that if I could turn my TV on with the TV remote, which is a smart TV, right? I have an LG smart TV. And if I go like right to Netflix from that, it goes right to Netflix without the buffering delay that it does to go through my TV box. So you're onto something there. I don't really know what the answer is, but this was so weird last night. It would not work during the game, pregame, postgame, nothing. And when the game was over, the replay was on. That could be just sheer coincidence. It could have been 10 houses, all in my neighborhood. I don't know. But I know I did not get the game last night.
Like you said, the dots, to me, it's totally conjecture. What indicates to me it was some sort of internet issue, but just with that channel, because you could get to the other channels and your internet was working fine. It's just one of those dumb Xfinity things.
That was the only cable channel
crazy
that I know of that I didn't get last night.
You know how it wouldn't have happened with the old cable boxes. I'm telling you right now, it wouldn't happen. Oh, I could do an hour on this. It makes me so angry. The fact that I DVR something and it's not on my box hard drive anymore. It's up there in the cloud, in their internet space. It drives me nuts. I could do an hour on it.
But if you say into your remote, play this for me, one of my recordings, it'll do it.
Which is the part that makes it a lot easier.
Yes.
But I'll sacrifice that for the hard drive.
Well, maybe so. I don't know. All I know is it was weird to me last night. Now I got to see. I guess I'll have to wait till Friday to see if there's some issue. But Pete said to me there is, a lot of times, heck, CBS was having a big argument with DirecTV.
That's right.
And so
someone was having one with Xfinity recently, too, one of the network stations.
Could have been. It might have been MC. I can't remember which. But NBC was a carriage issue with the market and the cable provider. And that is, for me, Comcast. So I was thinking, well, maybe because I'd heard a debate somewhere else. This was pre-Grizzlies season beginning. They were talking about it. That there was some discussion, and I can't remember which distributor it was, but that Bally's wanted more money, and that you may have to get a different sports package in order to get the games. I don't know if it was Comcast or not, but that was my thought last night. Is there a battle going on? And it's a new year, right? Maybe Comcast and Valley South went their separate ways, or they're going to reconstruct it, and they're in the middle of negotiation, and they blacked out the game because it's the first game I remember that I could not get. And then I'm thinking, well, I got the replay. Maybe it's just a live event. But it's so weird because the other Valley station's on. So if anybody knows the answer, again, 360-8255, I would love to hear it. As far as the game goes, I loved what Taylor Jenkins said afterwards. He goes, we need a game like this. We're not going to just keep pounding people and winning, because you realize during this winning streak, all of the games ended up over 115 points. The Grizzlies have scored a lot of points. What was the final in this one? They got 115 again, didn't
115, 114.
115, 114. Pretty amazing.
Cavaliers lost shooting 51%.
So every game in this 11-game win streak, the Grizzlies have scored at least 115 points. Is that not amazing?
That's incredible.
It really is. But what he said is that the Grizz have to learn how to win these close games. And that when the game was over, I don't know if he would have felt the same way if he'd lost, but he goes, we needed a game like this. And, again, pretty good defense, right? That's what they had to have at the end. It took 10 steals, 7 blocks. One of those blocks came from Dylan Brooks as the last shot was about to be taken, and he basically, without fouling, got all ball. Perfect defensive positioning, perfect time leaped, perfect block, W.
Forced him to give it up first, got it back, and then played great defense. Like, he's an unbelievable defensive possession.
Ja, 24 with 8 assists, getting people involved. Bane, 25, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Triple J, 15, 7. He had 4 of the 7 blocks. He continues this blocking streak. He's well over 3 blocks a game now. And then Adams, the unsung hero, he had 13 points, 10 rebounds, another double-double. He had 4 assists as well.
And 5 offensive rebounds. And that tip-in to win the game. I mean, he was incredible on the offensive boards.
Tip-in. I mean,
incredible. You mentioned the turnovers. 26-12, the Grizzlies won points off turnovers last night. That ends up being the difference in the game in a lot of ways. And the other stat I have was that the Cavaliers shot 51.2% from the field and lost the game. That is the 106th time this year.
Wow.
A team has shot 50% and lost. Last year and the year before, 132 total in each of those seasons. So already at 106 before the All-Star break.
Incredible.
Teams losing shooting 50%. It's crazy. That's insane.
And the other thing that is amazing about this Grizzlies team, a couple things that come to mind. One, 58 points in the paint. You know, they're on pace to break the record for the average most points in the paint per game in a season. And I can't see that stopping because their penetration is so good. You got Adams, who gets double digits almost every night inside. Then you get Triple J. You get Brandon Clark, who feasts in there. And think about how many drives Morant, Brooks, and Bane get points on. It's an incredible story. And I started to think, I still don't know that this team, as it is right now, is good enough to win a national NBA title. I don't know if it is. But the more you think about it, and let's be honest, in this 11-game streak, they've played a bunch of teams not 500. They've played a lot of teams that haven't had players like the Suns that have been missing key pieces. That won't happen come playoff time when it really is going to matter. That's how we're going to measure this. But it sure seems to me that almost every Grizzly is playing the best they've played in their career. So think about this. Ja is the best he's ever been. Is that fair? I mean, he came out last year.
I agree.
But I think this is the best version of that we've seen of Ja.
Highest points per game, for sure.
Better at threes.
Actually, he's lower than his career percentage. Isn't that crazy?
It seems hard to believe.
Isn't that if you would have just asked me off the bat.
So maybe the percentage is not quite as good, but
1% lower.
Is the number of threes made better?
Let me look at that.
Okay. His defense still isn't good, but it's better. I think this is the best version of Ja that we have ever seen. Now, Bain, I don't know. Bain might have been a little bit better last year, but he's been banged up. But now all of a sudden, he's had streaks where he's played incredible. So Bain, if he isn't at his peak, he's right around his peak.
I would agree with that,
okay.
too. Josh shooting half a three more this year and making this pretty much the same amount. So,
okay.
But still making the same amount as he has been. So certainly no drop-off and more willing to shoot it.
Yeah. I think it's the best version of Ja. I'm not sure if it's the best version of Bain because he's been injured, but it's close. He's reliable. He's probably the second best option, okay?
And he wasn't pulling up threes like he is now last year, and he's making them with the utmost confidence. So I agree with you on that front, absolutely.
There's no doubt in my mind this is the best Jaren Jackson Jr.'s ever played. For the most part, he's better at staying out of foul trouble, still every once in a while, but for the most part, he's better at staying out of foul trouble. He is taking less threes, I think, and he is driving like I've never seen him before. He's rebounding better than he did before. I think it's the best version of Triple J.
Yeah, threes for Jaren Jackson Jr. down a full 3 per game right now. So like you said, to your point.
Because he's going to the hole. He's another reason why.
Total shots down, too.
They're killing it in points and paint.
You're right. Total shots down, too. So it's certainly playing within himself to that degree more.
And I think this is what you want of Dillon Brooks. Less shots, more defense, more willing to share the ball. He is definitely deferring to Bain to be the guy that is the more quantity shooter.
And I think on the other side of the ball, they've completely deferred to him to be the defensive stopper. I mean, he's guarding, whether it be a 4 or a 1, if whoever the guy is that takes the most usage, the most high shots, the most shots in the game, that's who he's guarding, and he's doing an excellent job of it, too.
So I think it's the best version of Dillon Brooks.
Agreed.
And I don't know if it's the best version of Steven Adams, but it's the best we've seen him. He might have been better younger at Oak City. I don't know.
I believe he leads the league in offensive rebounds this year, so that's certainly in that regard.
I'm just saying, and he's a presence.
Absolutely.
You don't mess with him. So maybe this is the kind of year. All right, let's see what happens with Danny Green if he comes back.
And the bench. Santi Aldama is playing, certainly he's only a second-year player, but his best basketball by far. And I looked this morning in isolation opportunities with qualified players. He is the best isolation on-ball one-on-one defender in the NBA. If you look at field goal percentage, which is 11%, and points per game, points per possession.
That is hard to believe.
Isn't that incredible? I did not expect to see that stat this morning, but that's unbelievable by him.
That's a gem you've unearthed there because I would not have guessed that.
And he's a great shooter.
Yeah. Wow. So I think you got the best version of these guys playing together, liking each other. Maybe this is a year that they can really take that big step and at least get to the Western Conference Finals. I told you I talked to Pete Pranica today, and I ask him this every time. What is, and we'll have him on the air after this road trip, what is a reasonable expectation? Because Pete's a pretty level-headed guy. He's seen a lot of NBA. So at the beginning of the year, you remember he said, well, you don't want to be in the play-in. So it's fair with this team and how good the West is to expect top 6. He amended that the last time we talked to top 4 because that's the way it seems to be playing out. And you want to be top 4 because that means you're going to have a home court for at least a series, right? Talked to him today. He goes, we'll know more after this trip. But maybe top 2. That gets you into the Western Conference Final. And that seems to be with the space that the Nuggets and the Grizzlies are getting between teams. I think the next team, the Grizz have 5 on New Orleans, if I'm not mistaken.
And Sacramento.
So maybe that is the way. Tigers tonight, Wichita State, Memphis a 10.5-point favorite. You know, the Tigers are taking a 14-game winning streak at home from last year into this game tonight, which I believe is the 10th longest home streak in America right now.
Who was the last loss? Do you know who that was? I'll look.
It was last year.
Right, last year.
I'm not sure.
It was SMU on January 20th last year.
Wow. Well, they avenged that one.
And they did. That's right.
They avenged that loss, and they got them in the tournament, which got them into the tournament because there were people that thought, okay, it's between Memphis and SMU for that second spot in the American. I think the American's going to get 3 spots this year based on the net. Wichita State is not going to be one of those because this is a quad 3 game for Memphis. It's a home game with a 143, so it's one you cannot lose. The Tigers have had their number, though. They've won 4 in a row and 6 of 7 out of a Wichita State team that is 9-8, 2-3 in the league. They are very poor at shooting threes, which is a good thing for Memphis because Memphis is very poor at stopping threes. But listen to this. You know what they shoot?
From 3?
Yeah.
Below 30%.
Yeah. Actually, right under 29%, like 28.8%. That's what they shoot from 3.
Wow.
That is 338 in the country. If they score a bunch of threes tonight, maybe we pack it in. I'll tell you one thing now. The Tigers go to the line a lot. 21% of Memphis' scoring comes from the free throw line. Wichita State doesn't foul. So Memphis is going to have to earn their points tonight because they're not going to get them at the line. They're going to have to really share the ball and play together. And then just know that it's going to be, even though they're 10.5, you got to figure this is going to be a battle. Because, and I've always said this, people talk about pace of the game. Memphis likes to play fast, right? They like turning you over, pressing, getting buckets in transition, and they average close to 80 points a game. This Shockers team gives up only 62. They only score 65. So, and you tell me, because you're the coach and the analytics guy, it has always seemed to me that if you – and this is why I think really good coaches. I'm going to go to Frank Haith at Tulsa, where he couldn't really get great athletes. So what do? You muck up the game. You slow the pace down. You can slow a pace down quicker and easier than you can quicken the pace. The only way to quicken the pace is to get rebounds and outlet really quick or to turn you over. But if you want to walk the ball up and work the shot clock down to the last 8 seconds before you really start your offense, I don't know how you can quicken the game. So I think it's easier to slow the pace down, and if that's the kind of coach you are, then that's going to be your advantage if you want to slow a game down. I think it's easier.
Certainly. It makes defense easier. I think it makes offense incredibly harder, which might speak to why Wichita State is struggling. But to your point with their defense making it easier, that pace has really helped them. You mentioned the foul rate, 15th best in the country, according to Ken Pomeroy. Teams effectively field goal percentage, 43.6%, 10th best in the country. So it's working on that end of the floor. On the other side of the floor, though, might leave something to be desired, at least in this particular case with Wichita State.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, one really quick, two quick notes. One good. Lester Quinones, 2 double-doubles against the Hustle. Lester last night, but they lost, 129-122. Santa Cruz, the Warriors, that's the team that Lester plays for. He had a two-way. He got cut from that two-way, but he is opening eyes around the CBA. 30 points, 11 rebounds. He had 7 threes last night, had a double-double in the game the night before for Santa Cruz. I really wish Lester had stayed. I was checking because I don't know the economics. I know if you're a two-way guy, you can make good money. You make $400,000 or so. But if you're not a two-way guy, if you're an affiliated player, which Eli Savoy guesses that Quinones is, with the bonus that you get for that, you can make up to $100,000, which is more than I thought you could. But I still wish Lester had come back. I think he would have gotten good enough numbers here where he could have become a second-round draft choice and gotten a better opportunity to be an NBA player. But he may get a two-way based on what he's doing right now in the G League. But, man, I think with the NIL, they could have easily gotten to the number that he's getting as a Santa Cruz Warrior.
Certainly.
And I think he could have upped his chances in the long term to be an NBA guy. Although age is always a factor they put in there. I don't know, but I know how good he would have been on this Memphis team. That is for sure. And one last thing before we take a break, and Russell Copeland's going to join us. We'll talk some NFL football. The Tigers twice had a young man who was their trainer. His name was Chris Simmons. Chris was with Memphis during that great run of John Calipari, and when Calipari left after 2009, he literally took Chris Simmons with him to be his trainer. And as I saw in a tweet from Cal, that Simmons was totally dedicated. He was hard on guys, but protective of guys, and he always went the extra mile to make sure he got there for extra treatments and things of that nature. For some reason, he left Kentucky, and I don't know where he ended up, but he came back to Memphis 2 years ago. And at the beginning of last year, he had some health issues, and he had to leave right at the beginning of the season. And that is when Daryl Turner came over from football, who's now the trainer for basketball. And Daryl's really kind of over the whole department. But Chris Simmons, 2 days ago, passed away, untimely and at a very young age. Our thoughts and our prayers to anybody who knew and liked Chris Simmons. We take the break. We'll be back in a minute. We'll talk some NFL football. I'm in the Family Leisure studio. You know, the end of the year has come. It's gone, and they've come in with that floor model sale. There's always something cooking at Family Leisure, and right now the lowest prices of the year on those pool tables, on spas, on patio furniture, which is fantastic, on game tables, including a floor model arcade you can get as low as $1,200. Last chance for the 2022 pools because the new ones will be arriving. You get a great price right now, and floor model trampolines at $2,100. That is the installed price. Wow. All you got to do is get to I-40 and Whidden Road, Family Leisure. We pause for a second. When we come back, our man on the NFL, that would be the one and only Russell Copeland. He's next.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Looking for a high-efficiency planting solution? The Case IH 2150 Early Riser Planter combines the industry's most accurate planter technologies with a rugged row unit for a fast and uniform emergence. The Case IH 2150 Early Riser operates at your speed and adapts to unique field conditions so that you can maximize your yield potential. Stop in or call Mid-South Ag Equipment at 662-890-3141 to learn more. That's Mid-South Ag, your Case IH Equipment headquarters. Looking for a cigar lounge to call your own? One that offers a laid-back environment with a full bar, comfortable seats to kick back in and enjoy a beer or a cocktail, and a cigar? Then G-Spot, Memphis's premier cigar lounge, is just for you. Offered a wide selection of cigars, and it's open 7 days a week, starting at 12 noon for your smoking pleasure. G-Spot Cigar Lounge is now offering a limited number of memberships that provide a locker and a humidor credit. For more information, call the G-Spot Cigar Lounge, 901-801-4276.
You don't think about a lawyer until something goes wrong. When that happens, let attorney Stephen Leffler fight for you and your family. You don't leave the house in the morning expecting an accident, but it happens every day. A car wreck, you slip and fall, or you get accused of a crime and find yourself fighting for your reputation. Stephen Leffler has been fighting for you for over 35 years. Don't do it alone. Let Stephen Leffler fight your battles for you. Call Stephen Leffler, 901-527-8830, or go to LefflerLaw.com. Here to fight for you and your loved ones.
When you see a City of Memphis service vehicle such as solid waste or code enforcement, slow down, yield, or move over. You can help save a life. Move over, Memphis. Let's help keep them safe.
Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back. The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports, former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM. Your Mid-South Sports Station.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Like the man said, we are presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. They are our title sponsor, and we're so proud, and they have an offer right now. It's kind of like one of those things hard to refuse. You can get a brand new Hyundai the best on the market. I think Hyundai products, they last forever, and they're so smooth and dependable. You can get a brand new Santa Fe, that's what I love, Tucson's, Elantra, Veloster, Palisade, any one of those brand new cars. You get to Craft Road and Highway 78. That's the first exit in Mississippi. And you pick out a car, drive it off the lot. Don't worry about making a payment for 90 days. You got 3 months to make your first payment on any new Hyundai at Homer Skelton Hyundai. Couple of quick texts. I got the Grizz game last night on Bally's on Direct TV. So somebody there. But somebody else had the same problem I had in Collierville. Goes, I live in Collierville. I had the same issue with Xfinity. All my channels were working except the Grizzlies game. So I'm not the only one. Huh.
You're in good company or bad company, depending on how you view it, I guess.
Unfortunate company.
That's right.
I may have to call Xfinity and see if this was something. I don't know. Anybody else text us on the text line, 901-360-8255. We'll check it at the end of the show. In the meantime, always a pleasure to chat with Russell Copeland on the National Football League. It doesn't get much better than right now, and we are in the playoffs. We had the wild card playoffs last week. We now have the divisional championships this week. A lot of fun. Let's start with Tampa, which I understand Byron Leftwich fired today. There may be up to 5 coaches who are fired. Who knows about Tom Brady? Russell Copeland, that was total domination by the Cowboys over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's already cost at least one coach's job. Who knows what happens with Todd Bowles, although I got a feeling he's going to be saved here. What do you think happens with Tom Brady? Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Dave. First of all, it's very unfortunate that Byron Leftwich gets fired because of the year that the Buccaneers had. But speaking on Tom Brady, honestly, I do not know what Tom Brady will do. What I can say is that the chapter of the book has already been written. I mean, he's the best quarterback, in my opinion, that we've seen play the game. I don't think he knows. I think he needs to take some time off. But when you look at a great player like Tom Brady and Michael Jordan, the itch for them is like a drug. They want to continue to play. And I think that he can still play. Is he playing in top 5 level at the quarterback position? No. I think he has to get in a situation where everything fits him, as far as a great offensive line, as far as a certain type of tight end, as far as a certain type of running back. He has to have that, and also wide receivers. If he does come back for me, I would start with the Las Vegas Raiders. Their head coach, Josh, was his offensive coordinator when he was in New England.
Josh
so that's
McDaniel.
what I would start.
Yeah,
Josh McDaniel, yes. That's where I would start. But I don't think that he really knows. And just had a lot of issues this year with Tampa Bay. And I think Byron Leftwich is amazing that he is fired. And we'll talk about the Chargers. He doesn't retain his job, but yet he is a Super Bowl winning offensive coordinator, where his offenses have always been at the top. Even when he had Jameis Winston, the offense was at top. It was Jameis Winston as far as his decision making.
First off, I think Leftwich is really a scapegoat because I don't believe he was calling the plays. I think that was Tom Brady. And my question for you is, should Josh McDaniel take a guy under the terms that Brady got in Tampa, which was basically he was calling the plays. He had his own separate area for his people. I don't think that's really conducive to team building. As great as Tom Brady was, I don't think he's quite the same guy. You said the same thing. Would you accept Brady on the terms that the Buccaneers did this past year?
Well, he's not the Tom Brady of a few years ago, but I definitely would let him have some input. But when people say that he was calling the plays, I don't just buy into all of that. I think he has a say-so. I think he has freedom to be able to change the plays. But when you look at Byron Leftwich, I think he's putting plays in, he's calling plays. I think Tom Brady can look at whatever the plays are, and I think he may have 2 or 3 plays that he can change, much like Peyton Manning was doing it. Peyton Manning wasn't calling all the plays, but he understood the game so much that he could put his offense in a situation where it will be conducive for them to win.
You mentioned the Chargers and the Jaguars. The Jaguars, after 4 first-half interceptions by Trevor Lawrence, come back from down 27-0. The Chargers allowed that comeback and a second-year quarterback to beat them to get into the divisional round of the playoffs. What's your 2 cents on that game?
Well, that falls on Brandon Staley. But first of all, Doug Peterson did a tremendous job of calming the young quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, in the locker room, keeping him involved and keeping his confidence up. And what a great job his teammates did to rally around him to have confidence in him. But looking at the Chargers, all of this falls on Brandon Staley. You know, your pedigree is on the defense side of the football. You got 4 turnovers in the first half. You go into halftime at 27-7, and you have a young quarterback that's on the ropes. Your defense needs to come back. They need to rattle him. They need to be physical and take him out of the game. If he turns the football over one more time, or if he has a really bad series, Doug Peterson may even have taken him out of that football game. And you look at your defense, you look at the money that has been spent on that defense. You brought over Khalil Mack. You had C.J. Jackson, who was hurt this year, but Sebastian Joseph Day. So your defense, along with Bosa, your defense is set. You have a young quarterback who's a franchise quarterback. He's up and coming. You have the pieces around him. I don't see how he retains his job when you have Sean Payton sitting, waiting for a position like this. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback, and he'll do a great job. He'll do a great job with Justin Herbert. It's just baffling to me.
So you think, because Sean Payton interviewed with the Texans, not with the Chargers.
Well, there's no need for him to interview with the Chargers, but I'm saying for ownership, I would have fired Brandon Staley, and I would have, look, this is a great situation for the Chargers to go with Sean Payton. But, of course, he's not now. And the same thing when you look at the Denver Broncos. You have to look at what's a good situation for him. He's not going to get with the Dallas Cowboys, it doesn't seem like now, because they're winning, they're playing well.
Right.
And he's not going to get with the Chargers. But to me, the Chargers situation, the Dallas Cowboys situation may have been ideal along with the Broncos is what I'm saying. Brandon Staley, I could not retain him, especially when I have someone such as Sean Payton that could easily get me into a playoff and winning my division to be able to compete with Patrick Mahomes and also perhaps get to the Super Bowl because you have that quarterback in place already.
All right, you have to be good to make the playoffs. There's no question about that, but sometimes luck comes into play. And in the Bengals and the Ravens game, I think luck came into play. So the Baltimore Ravens are about to take the lead. They got a quarterback who's really not their starting quarterback. Lamar Jackson doesn't play in the game. Is he injured? Is he PO'd about his contract? It depends on the side you're listening to. I think the guy's hurt, personally. But so you got this guy, this backup quarterback in, who's playing a really good game, Huntley, and he tries to do a Trevor Lawrence, really, and hold the ball up and go over and break the plane, and he was supposed to go under instead of over. It got punched out, and a defensive lineman goes 98 yards and turns the game around for Cincinnati and wins the game, basically, for the Bengals, and so they move on. Crazy. And I feel bad for Baltimore because they actually outplayed Cincinnati in that game.
Unbelievable, because the way that Baltimore was playing, they had pretty much done everything that they could do offensively with a backup quarterback. You score there, the game is different now, puts pressure on Cincinnati. But again, I have to look at coaching. Your 2 running backs were running the football very effectively. I don't need a quarterback sneak. Let's line up. Let's put our jumbo package in. It's first down. Let's go ahead and run it every time if we need to. If we want to do some play action and maybe do a back end of that, a quarterback boot, then fine. But if you're going to do a quarterback sneak, you have to have your wide receivers lining out. Your running backs may come out of motion to take that linebacker out of the box. The way they were in close and tight and you want to jump over the top, you can't do it. Run the football at that situation, and I guarantee you they would have scored.
Well, now they're in. So before we take a look at the divisional setup, which is going to be terrific, I think, tell me one more quarterback because, we love stars. We talk Brady. What about Aaron Rodgers? Aaron Rodgers is, I think, 40. I think he's going to be 40 by the next season. And it was a bad last performance for him. And he was really taking it in, although there's about 60 million reasons why, because I think he would get with bonuses $60 million if he comes back. And I think the Packers want him back. Do you think Aaron Rodgers returns for another year, and is it with Green Bay?
Well, with Green Bay, first of all, I don't think they need to allow Aaron Rodgers to hold them hostage. They gave him an extension last year. We didn't know if he was going to play, didn't know if he was going to retire. They gave him $150 million. With my understanding of that contract, that he was going to remain with Green Bay for these 3 years. Now, on the Pat McAfee show, he basically says he doesn't want to rebuild. The same thing that he said last year. Green Bay Packers need to make a stand and say, are you with us or not? Let's get this taken care of before the draft comes. Allow us either to move on from you or you're going to join us, because right now it seems like that he is ready to jump ship. And I really don't like that. I don't want to be talking about is Aaron Rodgers going to be on the Green Bay Packers in May and June. I want to see if he's not going to be with them, let's give Love an opportunity to come on and play. Aaron Rodgers is reneging. He's made a lot of money for the Packers, and now you want to come back and say the same things you said last year. Are you with the team or are you not?
I agree. I think he likes the attention. He acts like he's a guru and that all that stuff would be above him. But frankly, I think he likes the spotlight on him. That's my last take. Okay, we got Jacksonville and Kansas City on Saturday, the Giants and the Phillies on Saturday, the Chiefs at home, 8.5-point favorites in that game. What do you say?
Well, the first game I like the Chiefs. When I look at the Jaguars, I love the job that Doug Peterson is doing, and Trevor Lawrence is going to have a lot of confidence coming back and how he won the game last week. But I just think Kansas City has too much offense. Their defense is much improved from last year. Overall, they're number one offense in the league, and their defense is number 11. I think the biggest point for me is when Kansas City has the football going against the Jaguars, they're 24th in the league. Their defense is going to have to play much better, going to have to get some turnovers. And if they can do that, they may could surprise them and jump on them like the Texans did a couple of years ago when they had Deshaun Watson, went up 21-0. But right now, I just think overall there's too much talent on both sides of the football. Give me the Chiefs.
High-scoring game. I'm with you all the way. New York at Philadelphia, the number one seed in the NFC, and the Eagles are 7.5-point favorites, and I think they've won both games handily against the Giants in the regular season.
This is an upset alert for me with the Giants, simply because it's a division matchup. You're playing them for the third time. I do think the Eagles are the better team offensively and defensively, but I have to say how Daniel Jones played last week. Brian Dable has that football team playing at a very, very high level. He's changed the culture. We haven't seen Daniel Jones play like this, I don't think, his entire career. So he's having a lot of confidence, but I just think their offense is not explosive enough down the football field. They want to rely on running the football with Saquon Barkley and get Daniel Jones on some bootlegs and run him as well. I think defensively for the Eagles, they're healthy now. Offensively, they have all the weapons to play. They got 3 running backs they can do. Give me the Eagles in this football game. But it is upset alert because Jalen Hurts means a lot. If he can't stay healthy in this game, that's why I say upset alert. If he can stay healthy, I like the Eagles in this game.
Cincinnati at Buffalo. The Bills are 4.5-point favorites at home. This is the game that the Cincinnati looked pretty good in Cincinnati when Damar Hamlin had his unfortunate heart attack, cardiac arrest. Since he's lucky to be in this game, but I don't know. Josh Allen is not playing at his best at the moment. What happens?
Well, when you look at the Bills, I think this is going to be an emotional game for both sides. But I think it's going to come down to the defensive line for the Buffalo Bills going against the makeshift offensive line for the Cincinnati Bengals. I think if they can put pressure on the backup linemen and now they can be able to run some umbrella coverages on the wide receivers outside, Buffalo wins this game. I'm not going to say easily, but they'll take control of this football game. I do not think that Josh Allen would have another bad football game. It's been an issue for the Cincinnati Bengals. You're putting too much pressure on Joe Burrow because you do not have an offensive line. And I understand he had a lot of sacks against the Tennessee Titans last year. But Tannehill threw for 3 picks. I don't think that'll happen this week. I think he rebounds back, much like Dak Prescott rebounded back from how he was playing the latter part of the season. Give me the Buffalo Bills in a close one, but it's going to come down to the offense and defensive line, and I like the Bills.
Final game, Russell Copeland. It's Dallas. Looked terrible in their final regular season game. Looked terrific against Tampa, against a team that's hot with a third-string quarterback who's not lost a game since he began playing. That's San Francisco. The Niners are 4-point favorites at home. How do you see it?
Man, I tell you what, Dave, I've really been juggling with this pick. I really like the way the Dallas Cowboys are playing defensively. Dak Prescott showed this is the type of quarterback that he had been playing before he's been throwing the interceptions. But what I do like about Dallas offense going against San Francisco is that they can put pressure because they have the backs to do it. They have the wide receivers to do it. They have the tight ends. And also on the flip side, it's going to be hard for Dallas to be able to keep up with San Francisco because of their player personnel, their personnel groupings. They interchange so much, so it puts a lot of pressure on your linebackers. What do you want to play? What kind of front do you want to play? What kind of back end do you want to play? With all that being said, I like the San Francisco 49ers in a very tight game at home because they match up. It's all about matchups. They match up very well against one another. But I think ultimately playing at home, how that defense is playing for San Francisco, they're the number one overall defense. I think they'll find a way to get the ball turned over and get their offense in position to win the game. I like the Niners.
He's our man on the NFL, Russell Copeland. Next week, we'll talk conference championships. Thank you, Russell. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Dave.
That's our man. He's brought to you by the Eflin Insurance Team. He's got all these professionals, a team that does insurance the collaborative way. They get to know you. They sit down, they know who your family is, and they pick out the perfect protection for your car, your home, or life insurance. And if you've got a small to mid-sized business, again, specialists in that regard for commercial insurance. They'll sit you down. They'll get to know your product, your assets, your personnel, what your budget is, and then they figure out the way to protect you. All you got to do is call 901-386-4777, spells out GUR, because they're big Tiger supporters. That's 901-386-4777. That's the Eflin Insurance Team. Back in a minute, we'll talk some SEC hoops with our man, our SEC historian down in Baton Rouge. That's Ron Higgins, and he is next.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
DeSoto Auto Sales specializes in late model cars with low mileage. They have the highest standards in the car industry. All of their cars are test-driven, checked out from head to toe. Unlimited inventory, every make and model. And if it's not on the lot, they'll find it for you. Walk in the door of DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Within 45 minutes, you can test your car, get credit approval, and finish paperwork within an hour. No shortcuts at DeSoto Auto Sales. Kind, courteous employees, a down-home environment. DeSoto Auto Sales cares about your time. Lowest prices in a 350-mile radius. We're living in a world today where time does matter. Visit them online. Check out their referrals. DeSotoAutosales.com. Very proud to serve DeSoto County and other surrounding areas. DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Call 662-890-7184. 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto Auto Sales.
Hey, Zeke, where's Gabe? There's no easy way to say this, so I'm just going to say it. Over the holidays, Gabe ate himself into a Central Barbecue food coma.
He what now?
Between all the Central Barbecue takeout and all the Central Barbecue gift cards that he got.
He ate himself into a Central Barbecue food coma.
Exactly. He's completely unresponsive except when there's a game on.
Isn't that pretty much always the case with Gabe?
Now it's even worse. Thanks to Central Barbecue and Gabe's addiction to it, he couldn't even be roused to watch the Camellia Bowl.
Well, what can we do? Is there a cure?
We have no way of knowing. All we can do now is wait and pray.
Hi, fellas. Bill Russell at Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers. And I want to thank all of you who came to see us at Russell Brothers so that Christmas would be very special for your lady. Thank you for the confidence and trust that so many of you have placed in Russell Brothers for over 38 years. And we're going to work even harder in 2023 to let you know how important you are. Whether you just need a simple battery or a $20,000 diamond ring, you will receive the very best in beauty, quality, service, and value. Our exquisite gemstones, our fashionable designs, our huge array of fine jewelry will dazzle you and will help make you a hero. And when you want to let her know how very extraordinary she is, we invite you to come and see us at Russell Brothers Jewelers, 4646 Poplar at Perkins, or visit us at russellbrothersfinejewelers.com. After all, doesn't she deserve the very best?
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
It's time to get your Kia on at Gossett Kia on the Bike. And Bobby J is ready to put you in a new Kia today. You ready for a road trip? How about 41 MPG highway and your new 2023 Kia Forte LXS? $254 a month, 36-month lease, $27.99 due at signing. Or rock out in your new 2023 Kia Soul. Only $272 a month, 36-month lease, $27.99 due at signing. And if we don't have what you want, not a problem. Let Bobby J order a new ride for you today, and you won't pay over MSRP. Plus, you always get Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Ask for Bobby J. He'll put you in a new Kia today at Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, or shop 24/7 at KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Forte LXS PE 573573, MSRP 21335, Soul P789935, MSRP 21835. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 1/31/2023. Dealer stock only. Warranties and limited powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details.
Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by the Memphis Music Room. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Well, not really. It's Wolo and friends, and a good friend, and always a treat to talk to. That's Ron Higgins down in Baton Rouge, our SEC historian. I'm really glad that you're able to be on today. I thought you might be devastated by that one-sided LSU loss last night to Auburn. Man, Auburn looked like the team they were earlier in the year. They just absolutely pounded LSU 67-49. What happened?
LSU's not very good. That's what happened. They're not athletically very good. They don't shoot the ball well, and they're a bit slow. Besides that, they're a fine team. They may look. I'm trying to give their first-year head coach Pat McMahon benefit of the doubt. He had to recruit a whole new team. I mean, 12 scholarship guys went in the portal or quit or whatever after he was hired, and he had to put a team together about a month and a half. And he did that, and it looks like it. Just kind of thrown together team and have some pieces, but they shoot. They're last in the SEC in field goal percentage in conference games. They've been under 30% the last 2 games. And they don't match up well with better teams in this league. They just don't.
Well, I'm really stunned, honestly, by how crazy this year is. I didn't know that LSU would be that good anyway, but I didn't see Arkansas. They've lost again last night. Now, they're 1-5 in the league. Mississippi State lost again. They're 1-5 in the league. I thought for sure Arkansas was going to be a really good team. Mississippi State was ranked for a while. Here's A&M. We thought was going to be good, then was awful. Tigers handled them pretty easily. Now they've won 7 in a row, and they're 5-0 in the league. I mean, Alabama, A&M, Tennessee, Auburn. I'm going to throw Kentucky in because who knows with them. Which of these SEC teams do you really think is going to be a factor in the NCAA tournament?
Alabama, the team Memphis beat. Yeah, Alabama.
No, they
lost.
We lost Alabama. They beat Auburn. They lost to Alabama, but only by 3 on their floor.
Yeah, Memphis played great. Remember that Memphis played great that game. Remember watching that game. Alabama, they're the best team in this league. Athletically, they're off the chart. They got athleticism. They got guys who can make shots. They got guys who can play defense. They can win in different types of ways. I mean, Alabama's never had a Final Four team in their history. This might be the one.
The one thing about them that I worry about is they just want to outscore you. I don't know if they play good enough defense to win a national title, whereas Tennessee does play that kind of defense because I think they're in the mix, but they don't. They have trouble scoring sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. I like Tennessee too. I like their, how physical they are on the inside. But Alabama's the one that really sticks out to me. I just think they have a lot of weapons. Arkansas has just got a bunch of guys hurt at the wrong time, starting up conference play. They lost a guy before conference play. One of the other guys, the best players, got hurt. They've had trouble putting together. I mean, last night I watched them. They were up by 10 with 3 or 4 minutes left, and they just folded. And that I'm sure that's their worst start. Probably that's their worst start since they joined the SEC. I know that. Will they get it back together again? I don't know. I mean, Kentucky's trying to crawl back game by game. A&M's not great, but they play well together. This will be.
They really. I think Buzz is a really good coach. I don't think there's any questioning that. All right, last thing, because we didn't get a chance to talk about the championship game. Georgia so dominant over TCU. Some people doubted that TCU should have even been there after that game. I don't have that question. I think just Georgia was a tough matchup and played great. But the question now is, will they become the first team to three-peat since Minnesota did it in the 1930s?
Well, obviously, the big question is, can you find a quarterback like Stetson Bennett?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the guy who made that team what it is. And he made plays when he had to make plays. And if they find themselves a quarterback remotely close to him who can make plays, they got a shot. Yeah, I mean, they got a ton of talent. Kirby has done a good job of recruiting. They got a ton of talent. They should be favored to win the league, probably win their division. And I could see them be right back in the playoffs with another shot at it. But again, it depends what type of quarterback they develop.
Well, and they're going to have to get past Tennessee in the East, and I think Tennessee is going to be somebody to reckon with. No doubt about that in my mind.
Well, yeah, I mean, Tennessee will challenge. I mean, I guess Joe Milton stepping at quarterback, I guess, and he showed the bowl game he can play. So Tennessee will be right there with them. I think Georgia and Tennessee definitely in the East, and probably the West. LSU and I'm guessing Alabama, but Alabama's got a high quarterback. I mean, they had the best quarterback in their school history, and they couldn't, they couldn't get it done.
And Ole Miss could be a factor. They're collecting quarterbacks. Apparently, they got one from LSU yesterday and one from Oklahoma State today. So they're going to have plenty of talent in that quarterback room.
And Auburn with Freeze, with Hugh.
Yeah, wow.
They're going to be a factor. They'll be a factor pretty quick.
It'll be fun. Hey, we shortchanged you a little bit today. We'll spend a little more time visiting with you next week. We appreciate it, and just enjoy the NFL this weekend.
Oh, yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. A lot of LSU guys in these games, so yeah.
That is Ron Higgins, our man, our SEC historian down in Baton Rouge, brought to you by Ken Garland. Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. Ken knows what a big decision it is for you if you're committing to that dream house or even a renovation with innovation. You love your lot, you love your home, but you want the modern amenities. Ken's seen it all. He and his dad started the company about 65 years ago. Ken's been running for about 25 years. All you get is expertise and quality, on time, on budget, especially quality when it comes to building. Call Ken, 751-1632. First, go to his website, kengarland.com. You'll see what I'm talking about. Then call him because he's fun to talk to and he sees little details, big picture all at once. A rare guy, the best builder around, Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. We'll pick some NFL and maybe some college basketball, too, tomorrow on our Pick 6. Andy Schiffman will join us. We'll talk trade deadline. Should be fun. Johnny Radio comes your way next. Have a great day, everybody.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service